Our next core principle in Kanban is to implement feedback loops. Feedback is an integral part of any good system and includes anything that gives you input on how your process is working. Kanban encourages and helps you implement feedback loops of various kinds. This can include analyzing our metrics, getting team comments, customer reviews, planning meetings, and so forth. Ideally, we want short feedback loops that give us the possibility for fast feedback. I can really appreciate the Agile concept of fail fast, fail often, because that allows us to learn fast and improve often. The idea of getting feedback early, especially if you are on the wrong track with your work, is crucial to ultimately delivering the right work, the right product or service to the customer in the shortest possible time. Feedback loops are critical for ensuring that. Our feedback loops are mainly implemented as a set of meetings or ceremonies, some with a specific cadence and others that are more ad hoc. One of the nice things about Kanban is that it doesn't specify all of the meetings you should have and gives the team the responsibility of determining what meetings they need and how often they need them. Some people love that, others not so much. But this requires some logical thinking about your process and how it can be optimal. You may find that you need more or less meetings over time as you learn and determine what feedback you need to continuously improve your process, your products, and the team itself. I'll guide you through a few of the common meetings Kanban teams typically build in as feedback loops, and you can determine if you need those meetings and how they might apply and what cadence feels right. Let's start with meetings you might hold more regularly and move out from there. The first meeting is a team stand-up meeting. I'll spend a little more time on this one since it's the one meeting I believe really helps facilitate flow and should probably be done every day. Each day, the team meets around the board or pulls up their board to have a stand-up meeting in order to exchange information about how work is moving forward. It is best for each team member to update the status of their work items prior to the stand-up meeting so a current state of the work in progress is shown. The team facilitator leads the team by walking the board from right to left in order to focus on the items that are closest to completion and asks of those cards something like, what needs to happen in order to move this story forward? Anyone who can help or has ideas to contribute can add to the discussion. If needed, the facilitator can ask, what blockers are preventing this item from moving forward? But usually that naturally comes up. The team should always favor finishing something over starting something new. When the team feels responsible for the entire Kanban system, then their most important outcome is to get something all the way to done. If this is really true, then each team member should be willing to help out to push other items over the line, but also, and sometimes more importantly, be willing to ask for help to move an item to completion. To help with this, I recommend changing the facilitator each day so every team member gets an opportunity and feels responsible for the whole system rather than just their own work, and can also get a sense of how the work is flowing. After the facilitator has led the team through walking the board, you want to ask a couple more questions before wrapping up the stand-up. Because we go item by item rather than person by person, we ask more of a blanket question to the team, such as, is anyone working on anything that's not on the board? We want to be sure that we capture any unplanned work that somehow entered our system and pause for a moment to understand how that work entered and how we can prevent that from happening in the future. Following that, I also recommend asking, are there any bottlenecks or impediments that are not part of our stories? If there's anything that is slowing down our flow of work, we should address it here. It could be another team, something we need from management, a tooling problem, or anything else that is stopping the work from flowing. The team may need to take these items offline for a deeper discussion right after. Now, I like to schedule anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour for the stand-up, knowing that the first 15 minutes, the team will engage in the stand-up, but then have planned time right after to sit down and work through any hot issues, make collaboration plans, get clarification on any stories, or show any work in process to get ideas or approval. It's understood that if a team member doesn't need to be involved in the after meeting, they can go back to their desks and get to work. Now, let me share another tip that I found extremely helpful. We recognize that managers and stakeholders are always welcome to observe a stand-up, but unless they are a core team member, I would suggest not having them every day. Instead, I recommend having one day a week where you specifically invite them to come and observe the team in action, but then the after meeting that day is for the team to walk the board, see who's doing what, and ask any questions about how things are progressing. Usually the product owner, tech lead, and team facilitator lead the group through this, but all team members are welcome to stay if they choose and talk to their managers and stakeholders. I find this really helps engage managers and keeps them informed on a cadence that isn't too demanding or overbearing for the team. Another meeting that can happen daily, but more often is once or twice a week, is a bug triage meeting. A core Agile belief is that over time, more brains make better decisions than just one. So the bug triage meeting is open to all team members for both input and learning. All new bugs entered into the ticketing system should pass this meeting for decision. We ask if a bug should be fixed or not, and if fixed, when, in the current release, an upcoming, or later on in the future. Is the bug even valid? If not, let's just close it out. On more of a weekly or bi-weekly basis, the team holds a customer demo. The purpose is for developers to show their work on a regular basis and get early feedback on it before it's too late for change. Sometimes a demo is a big deal and you will invite stakeholders and business SMEs, managers, and others. Other times, though, you may have purely internal or technical things to show, and it may be a quick review with the product owner or team. Many teams have a ready for demo process activity on their Kanban board to show what work items are ready to be included in the next demo. On occasion, you may need a team planning meeting to help the team plan any new work coming up or get a better understanding of the current backlog. The facilitator can call for a planning meeting anytime needed. Now, some teams prefer a weekly or bi-weekly cadence, and some prefer more ad hoc. It's up to you. You may even occasionally need to do a release planning meeting to produce a high-level prioritized release backlog with a release date target for the coming release of a product. You can view our release planning videos for more detailed information on how to plan releases. Finally, don't forget about feedback loops with other teams, project management, leaders, and technical SMEs. You may need a program meeting for status, planning, and prioritization on a weekly basis, or with other team facilitators, PMO leads, and key stakeholders for cross-team coordination. Or you may need a system architecture meeting to ensure we have an architecture for our products that is sustainable and long-lasting. Kanban does not give you an excuse to not hold key meetings that provide you necessary and critical feedback. Rather, we logically think through what are the right feedback loops needed to satisfy the needs of the team, other teams, and leaders that provide guidance to teams. Finally, one of the most important, if not the most important feedback loop for a Kanban team is the retrospective. But because this is so critical to continuous improvement, I'll discuss the details of the retrospective in a later video, which follows our next video on how to eliminate blockers. Now that we've discussed the importance of feedback loops in implementing a Kanban system, and now comes my challenge for you. Please take some time to discuss with your team what feedback loops you need to have in place in order to get the right types and levels of feedback to establish a process that works for your team. Like everything, this will require some learning and experimentation, but is a key factor for succeeding with Kanban.